All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday night. Normally we do this Tuesday evening, but we're doing it instead Monday night. Eagles played their Week 8 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, took care of business, 20-point victory. Let's break it down.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think they slate, dropping unrealistic magic. Who can takes for the clip? Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, flip on to Philly. Avoid you watching the Eagles all the way through the early 22. Authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the reals that feel the day.
Good evening, folks. Now let's get right into it. Philadelphia Eagles, Cincinnati Bengals, Week 8 recap. As you can read by the banner on the screen, Eagles defeat the Bengals 37-17 with strong second half serving as the backbone for the win. Indeed, going into this game, it was crazy because I talked about it on Saturday afternoon in my preview, saying that I thought it was going to be a challenge considering that the Eagles struggled defensively against teams that had a strong offense. And that's what happened week 2 against the Falcons, who were a pretty solid team. They struggled at points and it ultimately cost them the game. And then against Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 4, they looked flat. Like they had no business being out there on the field in that game. So with that being said, so up to this point, against the toughest offenses, even the Green Bay Packers, who nearly scored 30 on us in that week 1 win in Brazil, there was 3 games against solid to good offenses where the Eagles defense struggled. And the Bengals, despite their record being 3-4 going into this matchup, we knew they had playmakers on offense. We know Burrow, when healthy, can still go. And we know Jamar Chase is his top weapon. Those two guys have chemistry going back to their LSU days. So there's an established chemistry with those guys there that's been there for years. And we know T. Higgins, when he's in the lineup, he can dominate and ball. They didn't have him this week, but the point was going into the matchup, there was some room to worry that could the Eagles stop the pass game? And when we looked at the game early on in the first half, we didn't have anything going. We didn't. We came in there. It was flat. We looked flat in that first half. Or the first quarter. Remember that first drive? Bengals marched down the field, scored a touchdown. We're like, here we go. Why am I surprised? And I wasn't surprised when that first touchdown happened. Then the Eagles, then when they got the field goals, like, okay, they got something. They're at least keeping it competitive. But I was still a bit suspicious about them. Then when the Bengals scored that field goal, they converted that long 3rd and 22. When they converted that, I'm like, why am I surprised? Just that sarcastic, why am I surprised? Because I was like thinking in my mind, here we go. This is what I thought was going to happen. Bengals are going to possibly score over 30 on us. It's going to be a long afternoon. They're going to take care of business. And then they kick the field goal up 10-3. I'm like, yep, here we go. This is what we thought was going to happen. But then before you know it, Eagles did eventually tie the game up, win the halftime 10-10. So it's like, okay, we didn't let them score in the second. We kept it 10-10. There's at least a chance in this game now. Then the second half, we took over. We took over with that strong second half. Especially, the fourth quarter specifically, it was lights out at that point. Our defense was getting it going. You had Isaiah Rodgers make a nice tip for C.J. Gardner-Johnson to get an interception. We had that big fumble that helped us get the ball back. It was just lights out from there once our defense took over and forced turnovers. We were able to milk out the clock, get some points, had a few long drives where we kicked the field goals. I mean, overall, though, the offense, once we hit the second quarter, we got going. Jalen Hurts, hey, he didn't have a great statistical game passingly, but he did have 3 rushing touchdowns, and he didn't commit any turnovers. We avoided the turnovers in this one. And to be fair, hey, early on in the season, I was critical of Hurts' performances. He had a few poor games where he didn't look himself. And I, along with other Eagles fans, I criticized the guy. And looking at it now, hey, I still stand by it because at the time he wasn't performing to the standard that he should have. This wasn't 2022 Jalen Hurts. So I was critical of his performance is in some of those early matchups, especially the first 4 weeks. I was critical of it. And, last couple of weeks, he's had himself a few nice games with no turnovers, so I give him props on that. He's at least gotten away from the turnovers for a bit. He started to turn a little bit of a corner. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, and he had that completion to Devontae Smith. So he had a touchdown pass and 3 rushing touchdowns with no turnovers. All right, solid performance by him. And the Eagles, you know what else they did in this game? They stuck with the run game. Saquon Barkley got the ball 22 times. The Eagles took into consideration what they did last week. They didn't let the fact that, well, it was just the Giants. It was meant to be for Saquon. The Eagles didn't get caught up in some dumbass thinking that, oh, well, we only ran the ball because it was Saquon's former team. They didn't go into that mindset. They stuck with Saquon. They gave him 20-plus carries, let him break the game open. He got over 100 yards, and he helped lead the way. Now, he didn't reach the end zone. However, those runs and those carries played a big difference in the outcome of this game. They helped us, open up more holes in the passing game. They helped us move the ball downfield and keep the Bengals off the field and helped us score points. So you know what? It's worthwhile. It's not always, you don't always have to score a touchdown every game to have an excellent performance. And Saquon did help lead the way in this matchup. So the Eagles, they learned, hey, Saquon Barkley is to be trusted. There's a reason they finally realized, hey, there's a reason we brought him in to be our running back. Because he can run the ball. Because when he's healthy, he's one of the top running backs in the league, and he showed it thus far. He's still the leader in rushing yards for the season, and he's doing his thing. And the Eagles were, to their credit, they stuck with the game plan of running the ball. They didn't get greedy and try to force the pass throughout the game. It seems like now this team's finally starting to get it together and realize, hey, we got a top running back. We paid Saquon Barkley a 3-year contract to help us out on the ground, and they're sticking with it. So it does seem like they're starting to get it together now. And the defense, hey, they've actually done a solid job. They haven't given up over 20 points 3 straight games. Now, granted, there was the factor of it's the Browns, it's the Giants, it's the Bengals. And that is true. That is true. However, hey, you're finding ways to win games. You're keeping them off the scoreboard. You're not letting them score too many points. So the Eagles are doing something right, which is what you're supposed to do defensively. So props to the Eagles on that one right there. So the Eagles are doing their thing right there. Oh, sorry about that. My screen froze on StreamYard, so I was getting a little worried, like, oh, what happened? But all right. We're good now, guys, but back to it. Yeah. So, yeah, the Eagles are doing their thing. Now, Saquon is second in the league with rushing yards on the season. We're going to pull up our browser here. We're going to pull up a separate tab on ESPN. We're going to look at it through it in 1 second. So, we're going to show you guys something. Give me one moment. So, right now, Saquon is second in leading rushing yards, only behind Derrick Henry. Give me 1 second. We'll show you guys what's right here. You got Well, passing yards, okay. But now, got Saquon, 766 rushing yards, second in the league as of today. So it's paying off. Eagles giving Saquon Barkley the ball is paying off. And ultimately, hey, we're doing our thing. We're finding ways to win games with him. I mean, this was nice. And the defense, I've been critical of Vic Fangio's defense, but it looked like in this matchup against the Bengals, come the second quarter, they started to figure it out. I mean, they did give up a touchdown, but hey, it's just one touchdown, though. After that first quarter, they got it together. They did their thing. Cooper DeJean had a nice hit there. We had a nice hit for a loss on Jamar Chase on the screen pass in the second half. And you had Zach Bond again, was a beast leading the way with 12 tackles. And you had Nakobe Dean, who had a tackle for a loss. Reed Blankenship had a pass deflection. Darius Slay had a pass deflection. But unfortunately, he did leave the game with a groin injury. So we're hoping he's okay. And even Isaiah Rodgers chipped in. Like I said, that C.J. Gardner-Johnson interception, he chipped in by tipping the pass to help lead to the interception. So even Isaiah Rodgers did something in this matchup. This defense actually looks solid. You also had a pass deflection from Cooper DeJean. I mean, so now things were finally getting going. And the only thing we really didn't do was we didn't get to Burrow. But considering we held him to 17 points and we nearly dropped 40, I'll let the one sack slide in this case and I'll forgive it because ultimately we did what we needed to do. We shut him down to under 20 points. Because I was worried going into this matchup. You guys saw my preview. Remember, I was worried that, the Eagles are going to score over. The Eagles might give up over 30 points. Because ironically, what happened was Bengals, I thought the Eagles might lose by like a score of 35-20, but they ended up winning by a score of 37-17. It was almost pretty close to 35-20. The opposite of what I had predicted. So some Eagles, to their credit, proved me wrong. I was cynical going into this matchup. I'll admit it. I was thinking they're not going to be able to contain it. It's a good matchup for the Bengals to get some confidence together, but fortunately, they got it together. They did what they had to do, and they won. I mean, I can't stop saying, but hey, I mean, granted, but we got to remember, though, this is against teams like the Bengals and the Giants, but then that's actually good because now this gives us an opportunity to build momentum, get the team's confidence going. Because, hey, now you get the Giants, you're 5-2 now. You're tied up with Washington. Well, not tied up, but you're up there with Washington. You stay in the race with them for first place in the division. And then the Cowboys lost yesterday, so that helps us out as well. And I get the Giants getting ready to play the Steelers, which the Steelers are likely to win. That should favor them. That should. Because that should favor us greatly in the division. And then, now you got next week, you got the Jaguars. That's a winnable game for sure. So that could be 6-2. So you take advantage. Hey, it's an easy schedule, but you take advantage of the easy schedule. Get yourself some wins. Build momentum. Use these games as an opportunity to get the chemistry going on offense. Get the defense's confidence up. Give Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell some experience. Let them get better at their game in these easy games. Get their confidence up. So that way, when this road gets more challenging as the season goes along, these guys are ready for tougher competition. You give time for Jalen Hurts, the offense, to get it together, which they have done. Last couple of weeks, they've committed to the run. They didn't try to force the pass. Hey, Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights, stopping by as always. And that's great. And that's excellent. That's what we need from this team. We need to finally start seeing the Eagles dominate. That's what we're getting. We're not at that point where we're playing low-scoring games against the Saints, where we have stupid play calling, where we're going for it on fourth down and costing ourselves 2 field goals like we did in that Week 3 matchup. We're not going for it on fourth down and costing ourselves a field goal that would have won it like Week 2 against the Falcons. We're starting to put that behind us and move forward as a team. And that's what we saw yesterday against the Bengals. And now it looks like Nick Sirianni. Now, is it just the easy schedule? Because there's a part of me, I'm thinking, I'm kind of torn of like, we're taking advantage of the fact that we're playing struggling teams. I mean, at the same time, yes, we're playing better because I do feel like it's part us playing better, it's part the easy schedule. Here's what I mean. I feel like the Eagles of weeks 1 through 4 would have struggled a little bit more against the Giants and Bengals, and it would have been different game matchups, possibly different outcomes. But now the Eagles post bye week, they've had more time to adjust. They've realized that they should focus on the run. Saquon Barkley's the lead guy on this offense. They finally adjusted the play calling in that direction. Now, I do feel like maybe Nick Sirianni, feeling the pressure from the fan base, feeling the pressure from this team, feeling the pressure, finally adjusted and was like, okay, look, we got to start focusing on running the ball with Saquon. It's where everyone else is calling for us to do that. Fans are calling for us to do that. Some of the media are calling for us to focus on the run. You know what? Saquon does do good when he gets the ball. Let's focus more on the run. So I feel like in part it's that Nick Sirianni feeling the heat, finally started to make some adjustments. Now, is he still calling the shots on offense, or is he finally backing off, micromanaging, letting Kellen Moore do his thing a little bit? I don't know at this point. Because last couple weeks, the Eagles have been playing so well, we're not even worried about Sirianni and Kellen Moore anymore. So on one hand, I do feel like that they've made adjustments. So that's a positive. On the other hand, it's also us taking advantage of playing struggling teams such as the Browns, Giants, Bengals, and then next week the Jaguars. That's 4 games that are some of the easiest games on the schedule thus far. First 4 games after the bye week. So we are taking advantage of it for sure. So that's one thing we're doing. So we got to keep that in mind, number one. On the other hand, so I do feel like we're doing a little bit better, but at the same time, we're taking advantage of the schedule. And on my channel, I put a poll up asking you guys, what's the letter grade for the Eagles' performance, A or B? You guys can vote, or you can comment, give me, what you think. Because I feel like, hey, it's only fair to let you guys that follow my channel vote. Let me know what you think of it. Now, me personally, I'll give this a B because I feel like, hey, we did a nice. I'll give this game an A, a B, all things considering, because we did play a good game, but this wasn't a true test. Because to be fair, we're playing a struggling team, and the Cincinnati Bengals were without T. Higgins, so they lost one of their main weapons as well. Because when we were down A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, we did acknowledge that us being down 2 of our top receivers played a role in some of the early season struggles, and that played a role as well. And it's only fair that we acknowledge the Bengals were stuck in the same predicament. Even though we take joy in our team winning, we got to be called what it is. The Bengals were down the top weapon, and that did help. We did have an opportunity to capitalize there, and we did. So to be fair, we have to acknowledge that the Bengals were down one of their top weapons. And it was the Cincinnati Bengals. This wasn't us going out and defeating a powerhouse team. This was us beating a struggling team that's underachieving. But hey, a win's a win. We'll take it. We've won 3 straight off the bye week. We're 5-2. Take the wins any way you can get them. Keep getting wins. Don't worry about Washington and what they're doing. We know they got a good team there. That's going to be the big rivalry game on the schedule this year. And the Cowboys, of course, will always be on that schedule as a top game because, Eagles, Cowboys, it's that big rivalry. But the point we're getting is, Washington is a big game on the schedule. We're going to be focused on the Commanders, but we shouldn't worry about the Commanders and what they're doing until we have to play them. Until then, let's just keep winning games. Take a look at the road ahead. I'm going to pull up the Eagles schedule real quickly. And take a look. You got the Jaguars next, November 3rd. Then you got the Cowboys November 10th. And then you got Washington. So once you get to the middle of November, then we have to worry about the Washington Commanders. But for now, you got the Jaguars. Get 6-2. Cowboys, that should be a winnable game. But we know the Cowboys always play us close. So we're not going to make any assumptions that that's going to be an easy matchup. But then you got the Commanders. Then we got the Rams around Thanksgiving time. Rams, now they got some of their receivers back. And they did beat the Vikings on Thursday night. Rams might be a better team than we give them props for. Let's not sleep on the... But the point being is, Yeah, we got an easy game ahead against the Jaguars that should bump us up to 6-2. Then we got the Cowboys, which looks like an easier matchup, but we always know those divisional matchups aren't always as easy as they seem. And the Cowboys, particularly, they always seem to sometimes save their best for us. There's just something about that Eagles-Cowboys rivalry where the Cowboys usually save their best for us sometimes. And knowing we usually split with them, there's a good possibility the first game could be a game where they beat us. I'm not saying I'm not confident that we can't beat them, but I'm just saying it's not going to be as easy as it seems on paper. Even with the way the Cowboys played last night against the 49ers, missing some of their key weapons on offense. But I'll get more into that tomorrow when I do my week 2 recap. It's around the same time tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, I'm going to do my week 8 NFL recap. But any note, hey, the Eagles in this game, hey, I liked what I've seen. Zach Bond. What else did I not mention yet? I meant Zach Bond, I didn't give credit. He's still standing out as a stud. He got over 10 tackles again. Zach Bond may be a dark horse candidate for the Pro Bowl. I know it's a little early to talk Pro Bowl voting, but hey, he could be a dark horse candidate. And to be fair, Nakobe Dean had 7 tackles in this matchup as well. And like I said, Reed Blankenship, he stepped his game up a bit this year in the secondary. And at first, I wasn't so high on his game, but recently, he's done better. He's stepped up his game. And this year, he's had himself a solid season. Reed Blankenship had him a solid season. He's one of the better pieces of that secondary. Even Nakobe Dean had himself a solid game. And all around, the defense is looking better. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a pick. And the Eagles, hey, they stepped up and did what they had to shut the Bengals down. I mean, and I'm also glad the Eagles didn't really give up much on the run round game either. They shut down the run, which was good, because this Bengals offense, without Joe Mixon, they don't have any semblance of a run game anymore. That goes to show you how letting Joe Mixon walk to Houston's worked out for them. Nice job. They got no run game either. And that's played a big role in it. But fortunately, the Eagles didn't let that play down to the Bengals run game. Fortunately, they shut them down. I mean, Jim, you did have Mike Gesicki, had 7 receptions, 73 yards. Jamar Chase, 9 receptions. But we can forgive that because we ultimately had a 20-point victory. Defense stepped up big late in the game. Had a few turnovers in the third and fourth. And we ultimately shut down the Bengals. We capitalized on field possession off those turnovers. Got the point, scored more points, put us in the driver's seat, and closed the game. I mean, we made big adjustments, and credit to the team for making the second half adjustments, too. Let's not forget about that. Second half adjustments were a key component of this victory as well. Because first half, we played a competitive game, but then second half, we adjusted. We just, we figuratively put the fist down their throat and just kept pounding away. And we took care of business and got the W. I mean, but hey, I'm happy with it. Sure, some people say, well, it's only the Bengals. But you know what? Haters are always going to, the Eagle haters are always going to try to find ways to put things down. No matter what we do, they're going to say, oh, it's only this team. Well, it's only that team. Well, it's only this team. Well, it was only the Giants. It was only the Bengals. Eagle haters are going to be Eagle haters. We know that. It's been that way for years. We go back all the way to 2017 when we was winning games and dominating throughout the season. It was only the Broncos. Oh, it was only the Cardinals. Or, oh, you barely beat the underachieving Raiders on Christmas Day. It was, or, oh, you struggled to put away the Giants twice. There is always going to be those Eagle haters that always try to undercut our accomplishments and say, oh, well, it was only this team. It was only that team. But look how that run ended. I mean, even 2022 recently with our Super Bowl run, during the regular season when we were the top team in the NFC, you still had some haters trying to put us down, go, oh, well, you beat a backup quarterback on Sunday night in Cooper Rush, or, oh, well, you just beat the football team or the Commanders. That was their first. Yeah, the Commanders was their first season as the Commanders. Oh, you beat the Commanders, or, oh, you beat the Steelers with Kenny Pickett, or, oh, you only beat this team, or oh, it was just this team, or it was only the Bears. You barely beat the Bears. You struggled against the Colts. There's always going to be those Eagle haters that try to undercut what we do no matter what. So I don't care for it was only the Bengals. It was only the Giants. We've heard this talk. Anytime the Eagles are rolling, the haters always try to say that. So I don't care what they say. I don't care. I'm not even tuning into them. This is the last I'm going to mention of them. All right. Look, we're 5-2. I went to this game. I didn't expect us to do well. I thought it was a good matchup for the Bengals. I thought, oh, Joe Burrow might have a good matchup against us. We don't usually get to the quarterback a whole lot. We struggled against some quarterbacks like Baker and even Cousins to some degree. We even struggled against Jordan Love week 1 in the win. But guess what? They proved me wrong. Sure, early on it was looking like the Eagles were going to blow it. It looked like their defense wasn't prepared. That first and second drive. First drive, they scored a touchdown. Second drive, we give up a 3rd and 22. It looked like we were doomed. But guess what? We didn't. We weren't. We turned it around. Second, say we got it together after giving up a few scores early. Defense did what they had to contain the Bengals. They only scored 17 points on us. A lot of people thought myself included, they were going to score 30 plus, but they proved everyone, myself included, wrong. So I'm happy that this team did that. I was relieved to see the Eagles play up to their potential. I mean, even though they did it last week against the Giants, there was that factor of, well, it's the Giants, and we know the Giants are trash. And the reason I'm chuckling is because I'm wondering what's going on in that Giants game, Steelers game. Did I jinx them? Let's see. It's 10-19 in the first quarter. It's only 3-0 Steelers. Speaking of the Giants, Steelers and Giants are on Monday Night Football. It's only 3-0 Steelers, but getting sidetracked there for a second. Back to the Eagles. Their defense proved me wrong. They did what they got a couple turnovers, limit the Bengals' efficiency on offense. We didn't turn the ball over at all. Now, to be fair, this was the Bengals who have a Swiss cheese defense, but guess what? You're supposed to take advantage of those situations. When you play against a team with a bad defense, you're supposed to dominate. This wasn't like the 2012 Monday night game Eagles-Saints where we couldn't score against the Saints when they were the worst defense in the NFL that season. I know that's a long time ago, but the point I'm getting at is it's not a situation where we're struggling against a bad defense. It's a situation where we move the ball against a struggling defense, which is what good teams are supposed to do. And that's what the Eagles did in this matchup. They moved the ball. Saquon Barkley could have a case for Offensive Player of the Week, but it's possibly could go to a player from the Lions and their routing of the Titans. But I'll go with Saquon Barkley being the Eagles' Offensive Player of the Week. Even though he didn't find the end zone, him running the ball for over 100 yards played a pivotal role. And even though you could argue Jalen Hurts, and yes, he did score the 3 rushing touchdowns, but also we got to acknowledge, without Saquon running the way he did, we probably wouldn't have been as efficient in the passing game because the run game opens holes for the pass game. We wouldn't have been moving the ball downfield as well as we were without Saquon. So I got to acknowledge him too, and also acknowledge Jalen Hurts. He made some key plays with his feet. We had a few tush pushes. Hey, remember the first time they stopped us that one time, but hey, what did the Eagles do? Got right back up and tried it again. And they got it in the second try. And then they got it in again. So it's one of those things. Keep that tush push, that brotherly shove going. If they knock you down once, just get back up and do it again. And that's what we did. So I'm happy with the way the Eagles carried themselves in this situation. They ultimately did what they had to. And I'm proud of them for that right there. So, man, shout out to the Eagles. It felt like a great relief to get this win right here, especially being that there were some worries going into this matchup. You can put that aside for a little bit. Worry about the Jaguars when we get to this weekend. Not that I'm worried about them so much, but I'm much more confident that we're going to beat the Jaguars. But, hey, that's good too. I get to come into this next matchup more confident in my team. So, yes, sir, I am happy with it. Now, I'm gonna done talk about it. Let's just take a little time. Sit back, flap the arms, get the fly, Eagles fly. I'm gonna have a quick toast for the Eagles. Give me 1 second. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's time to toast the Philadelphia Eagles going 5-2, defeating the Cincinnati Bengals. Toast to CJ Gardner-Johnson's interception. Toast to Saquon Barkley having over 100 yards. This is his real home here, folks. Toast to Jalen Hurts having 3 rushing touchdowns in this one. Toast to a dominant second half performance by the Philadelphia Eagles. Toast to Jake Elliott being automatic, kicking field goals. Toast to this dominant, excellent Philadelphia Eagles performance. Toast to Nakobe Dean recovering a fumble. Toast to just an excellent all-around performance. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. One more. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Always representing, always rocking this gear, no matter the situation. Whether we win in the Super Bowl, whether we are mediocre, whether we playing horrible, whether we collapse late in the season, whether we tie, win, lose, whatever the case may be, always going to be loyal to the Eagles and represent no matter what. To the Super Bowl magical Super Bowl run with Foles, to Carson Wentz regression, to the rebuild, to the Super Bowl run a few years back, only to fall short, to the late season collapse last year, to starting to get hot this year. Always staying loyal to the Eagles. Always happy to come on here and talk about them. But it makes it a whole lot better when the Eagles get the job done and dominate. And that's what they did in the second half yesterday. Now, to be honest, this wasn't an all-around dominant performance from start to finish, but the way we finished, it was worth it. It was a worthy performance. And I'm proud of this team for getting it done. So about to go off in a few more minutes. And before we go, as always, want to thank everyone for stopping by to enjoy the streams. Like I say, without your support, this thing wouldn't be going as strong as it does. So thanks to my followers, my subscribers for coming out, always engaging in the chat. Wouldn't be able to do these live streams without you guys. So shout out to you guys. And shout out to the Hardcore Sports Network for allowing me to stream this on their network as well as my own channel. There's the link to their network. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, you get all types of content from it. Live streams, talk about football, basketball. Hell, if you're a professional wrestling fan, you get coverage of that. You also Monday Night Raw, Friday night, whatever date SmackDown's on the air nowadays. Sorry, I'm not in touch with the times anymore there, but AEW, they do that as well. Sometimes you get the celebrity boxing fights are streamed on the network as well. Post-game recaps for football, some baseball sometimes streamed on there as well. But hey, Hardcore Sports Network, they stream it all, folks. So shout out to them for letting me stream on their network. And then there's my link to my channel. Get some YouTube shorts. Getting a lot more live streams now, but you get your live streams like this one, YouTube shorts. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. So thanks for rocking with me as always. I hope you guys enjoyed this, whether you caught it live or on the replay. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night or the rest of your day, depending on if you watch this live or on the replay. And as always, fly, Eagles, fly. It's your boy, Nicky Stees, signing off. Catch you next time.